Zane, Vaverka, and for my senior project, I done a research paper on the history of vehicles, and for my project, I painted a tailgate. A little about me, my family, my mom and dad are Jason and Misty Vaverka. I have two sisters, Zoe and Zeta. Zeta is a ninth grader here in White Lake, and Zoe lives in Sioux Falls. I have a brother, he is actually my twin, and activities, hobbies, I like to do anything with my hands, from working on the farm, mowing, anything like that. Future plans, I plan to attend Southeast Tech for diesel technology and trucking, and then move to Sioux Falls this summer and work in Sioux Falls somewhere. Why I chose my topic, I didn't have much knowledge of painting anything or sanding or anything like that before. It was a learning stretch. I have never done this before. The 4 components, we did the research paper in the fall, the fieldwork and final product November through March, just completed the binder, and then when we worked on that throughout the entire year, and our presentation right now. My research paper, my thesis statement is, the automobile has profoundly shaped societies worldwide, influencing transportation, industry, culture, and environment. Interesting information that I learned with my research paper, interesting information is, instead of Henry Ford creating the first internal combustion engine, it was actually Carl Benz, which I didn't know. I thought it was Henry Ford. For the project, actually, we learned that we couldn't have carpet in the garage because it had formaldehyde in it, so it would bubble up and bubble up the paint and ruin the tailgate, and we'd have to restart. So we had to take the carpet outside of the garage. My mentor was Jimmy Liebrecht. He works at CHS, and he went to school for trucking. And I've heard, while he was qualified, I've heard that he's painted tractors for people and trucks, and he does a really good job, people have said. For my field work, where I went to Jimmy's shop, and how often I went on the most weekends. After work, I worked till like 1:30 on the weekends, so I went over there from 2 to 6 or 7 most weekends. What I did there, I worked on my tailgate, and yeah. Here's the pictures. So this is the truck that the tailgate came off of. I tore the engine out of this truck. This is the tailgate before we started anything. There's a bunch of scratches and surface rust all over, and there's a big dent right here where someone hit a tree or something. And then the back, there's a bunch of surface rust and dents on the indents. This is the shop where we worked on the tailgate. This is the air compressor we use. This air compressor is specially made for painting because it can hold the right PSI for the gun. This is me starting to grind down the dents with the grinder so that we could get our first coat of Bondo on, and then prime that and sand it down. This is the first coat of Bondo and on the dents. This dent isn't covered yet. We got that dent bondoed and it's all drying. It dries pretty quick, like 2 to 3 minutes, so not much wait time. And then that's just another picture. We had to bring out the Bondo more because it wouldn't cover the dent right up here, so we had to bring that out. And had to re-coat these. Another picture of that up close. Then we started sanding down the Bondo. We had to like go up and down with it to make sure, and make sure we didn't take away the material that we put on, and make it flat. This is that being sanded down. And the Bondo turns white when it's dry, so that's how we know. This is me mixing up the Bondo. Bondo is really hard to mix up because you have to put the right amount of hardener and reducer in it to get the right consistency to be able to spread it good. grind down the dealer sticker, that was really stuck on, so we just took the grinder to that. And then there was like a big crease here from some, I don't know, and then we had to lay more Bondo down, because we saw that. And then I had to use sandpaper in here, because we couldn't use the DA sander, because it would ruin the wheel on that if we use that, so I had to hand sand that, which was pretty hard. This is sanding more of this. This is those grind spots where the dealer sticker was. I had to hand sand that so that it would be more smooth, and then another coat of Bondo down here. And then I started working around these letters, and this is Jimmy trying to get that crease out, which it turned out pretty good. Those letters were really hard because there was surface rust all around them, and that was, we had to like use our fingers to get around those. Another picture of Zane's on that. And then our first coat of primer, we wanted to just get the primer on the Bondo spots, because we still needed to sand it down and then re-primer it. So we just done up here and down here where the dents are. This is that drying and dry. I started sanding down the tailgate handle because I wanted to paint that too. And the primer all dry. This is the full tailgate prime. This is, and then that was just the front. We started on the back. We didn't fix any dents on the back or do any Bondo because we wanted to show how it came, so that, because we really did work the front pretty good. So I had to hand sand this whole back thing, which was really hard. And we just didn't get all the paint off to bare metal. We just got the rough spots and threw some primer on it. This is the final product. This is the white and the white. We did have some problems where we did have runs. We could have buffed them out, but it's not perfect, so I decided not to buff them out. And then I ended up, when it was hanging from the ceiling and we were painting it, I missed the screw and dropped it on its corner. And we were too far along in the process to restart and sand it back down. So we had to take a hammer and straighten that the best we could and throw some paint on it. Links between research, fieldwork, and final product. My research paper topic was history of vehicles. My fieldwork was painting a tailgate that came off a vehicle, so that's how those go hand in hand. And the final product was the tailgate. Some academic skills, researching. We had to use the South Dakota State Library to be able to research accurate information and get the good sources that we could believe in and write our paper. Writing, we had to use MLA 9th edition to be able to get the right information without plagiarizing, and write source cards, note cards, and all that. Time management, I wasn't very good at time management. We had to wait a while because Jimmy was busy spraying in the fields at CHS, so we had to find time to work together, and we found that on the weekends. Organization, there's a lot of papers that go along with the binder, and I had to organize that a lot so I wouldn't lose any papers, keep them all together. Self-discipline, I went on the weekends, and that was after work, so after working a full day, I had to go over to Jimmy's shop, and I really didn't want to, but I knew I had to get it done. Problem solving, finding time to work on it, so we found the weekends. The tailgate, dropping that, we just fixed it the best we could. General knowledge about my topic through research and from my mentor. What I gained from my senior project is the knowledge of painting that I think I will try to paint the whole truck in the future. What I'm most proud of is how the tailgate turned out. I think it turned out pretty good for my first time painting. Some difficulties, we had a hard time getting the shop up to temp because it's got to be warmer, like 65 degrees in the shop to be able to paint so it dries. So we had to have the garage door open a little so that the air could get out. But we propane heater, and we got it, pretty hot in there. Some other difficulties, my phone broke, mid, project, so I had a bunch of pictures on there from painting, actually spraying the paint on there, and that's why you didn't see that. So I couldn't get any of those pictures. Some other, and that's the solutions. Research paper I spent 43.6 hours on. My fieldwork and final project I spent 15.2 hours, and total hours of 60.4 hours. Total cost was about $200 between paint, reducer, hardener, and sandpaper. Jimmy had most of the some of his old stuff from painting that he said I could use, so that saved a bunch of money there too. Last thoughts and reflections. I thought it turned out pretty good for my first time painting, and I think I will use it in my future to be able to paint more like the truck. Thank you to my mentor, Jimmy Librick, the White Lake School Board and Administration for letting me be able to do a senior project, Miss Nightingale for helping me write my research paper, and everything else that she did. Are there any questions?
How many coats of the body did you have to put on there?
Bondo?
Yeah.
Like three. Yeah.
Kind of what I was saying, how do you apply that bond though?
Just with like a painter, like those plastic spread things, I don't know what they're called.
What do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's not that hard, cause you just sand it down if you have lines in it or whatever.
Saying it's hard to believe that.
Right.
Tailgate's the same one you had in the building.
We
Holy
also,
cow.
I wanted to kind of paint it black, but Jimmy said white, you can not really tell what, if there's anything in it. White looks good.
That looks real good. You know, one thing come to my mind, you know, if you're like most kids, you probably thought, yeah, do I have to do a senior project? How do you feel about senior projects?
Would've been totally different if you asked me at the start of the year and the end of the year. Start of the year, I was totally dreading it. End of the year, I would totally do it again. And probably the same project.
So you would advise keeping that in the school for
Right.
future?
Yeah.
Okay, super.
Would you have to rebuild all the hinge points and the latches and stuff too?
So this tailgate probably won't go on the truck again. I'll probably build a bench out of it or something. So we actually left the hinges off of it because it looks bad if you paint them, cause they are constantly moving and it just looks bad. So we just painted the latch and stuck that in there.
So is there a certain type of paint? I mean, obviously, satin or what?
We used gloss and it was like machinery paint, so we didn't have to do a clear coat on it, cause we didn't wanna do a clear coat. So that worked out pretty well.
Cool.
So you mentioned hardener and stuff. Do you gotta mix that with the paint before you apply it or
Yep.
after?
Before, we mix it in the gun.
Okay.
And it's like a 4-to-1, so 4 paint, 1 reducer or hardener.
And that keeps it from chipping, right?
Yeah. Are there any more questions?
So did you enjoy this enough where you would, you know, maybe go into this line of work down the line, or?
This is why I started my senior project, was I was thinking about auto body, but at the end, it takes too much patience and perfection to do that, so and maybe as a hobby, but not as a profession.
Where you're doing your research project, what'd you find the most interesting there that you did before?
All the companies, like Chevrolet, Ford, and how all they went through with the Great Depression and everything, and they still made it through. That was pretty cool, with all the financial stuff.
Oh, nice job.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah.
If not, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good job. His time was 11:29. So everybody made it. Hopefully Jamie did. all the kids kind of said what he said about senior projects, that they didn't really want to do it at the beginning, but I can see in just their attitude at the end, they're so proud of what they did. And we're happy that they got to choose something that they wanted to do.